Well, my word, lads. That Exxon Valdez spill. I mean, all the animals getting oil all over themselves. I sure hope they get that cleaned up soon.
I tell you what, it's a real tragedy.
Yeah, those birds. That's not the color they should be.
No. Well, anywho, let's, what would you call this? A podcast? My word. We're so hip and with it.
Yeah, I mean, 1986.
It's a good year. Anywho, let's just start recording. I'll start us off with a current anime. That's Japanese animation for anyone out there who is unaware as to what it is. Anywho, my first anime is Seitokai Yakuindomo. Was something funny happen? I'm not sure if I caught the joke there. I mean, it sounded like you were laughing at something.
What did you say again? What was the name of that show?
Okay, one more time. 1 second, let me get it. Seitokai Yakuindomo.
All right, that's good.
I'm still not sure what kind of show that is.
Well, I'm going to tell you what kind of a show it is.
Does it go by any other names?
Let's see here. Student council staff members.
Okay.
I believe that's what it goes by in some circles.
Well, tell us about that.
All right. Starts off, there's a young feller, and he's going to have his first day at high school. And as it so happens, it was previously an all-girls school, but they've now moved to co-ed, although there's like hardly any boys. So he's going to be the only boy, quite a few girls. All right?
Okay.
So he's leaving. His little sister, she's waving by. He's like, well, I'm off to hit the books. And he gets there, and we meet the first character. I'm going to call her Prez, because she is the president of the school. And yeah, she has dark hair, and she's very stern, and she says inappropriate things at times. Things like, hey, let's go masturbate. And then people will be like, oh, that's inappropriate. And I guess it is, yeah. Anywho, so she's there, and she's also very strict. Yeah. So then character number 2 shows up. I'm going to call her Shorty because she's short, and that's her entire character. She gets angry when people call her short, and but she's really, really short.
Is she very short, or is she like half their height, or is she barely shorter
I'd
than
say
them, or...
half their height. Everyone keeps saying, oh, hello, child, and then she gets really angry, and she starts moving her arms around, but they usually hold her back.
All right.
And then the third character, I was trying to think of what to go with. I was first going to go with Boobs McGee, but that is reserved for characters who that is like the only reason they exist. And they rarely bring up her breasts, so I'm not going to call her that. I think I'll just call her Airhead, because she does things oddly sometimes, and she's kind of a forgettable character, and I'm not really sure why she's there. She'll also say kind of the same thing Prez does, kind of like, hey, it's my menstruation cycle. And then I guess people laugh. So anywho, he shows up, and they want to make him part of the student council for no reason. And then it goes downhill from there. It goes downhill and fast. Basically, they just do like 1 or 2 minute bits that have nothing to do with each other throughout the entire episode. And I got to the end of the episode, and I thought, there's no way people are watching this sucker. I mean, it has to get better than this, right? Let me give you one good bit that they had. The main character, I'm going to call him Guy, because he has no personality really. He's just there. He's walking along, and Shorty is at the vending machine, and she's stretching. And he comes up and says, Shorty, what are you doing? She says, can't you see I'm stretching myself? He says, I can see that, but why here? And she says, and reaches up really high to hit one of the buttons on the vending machine and says, well, so that I don't get cramps when I reach up. And he says, good luck.
Takes a lot of luck.
Now, let me emphasize, that is this show. It's just little bits like that have nothing to do with each other. They then just move on to a new bit where they're like sitting around and she says, all right, well, we got to think about safety. And someone's like, yeah, the pool's coming up. And she says, well, I hope no girls get pregnant. Well, with all the boys in the pool as well. and then that's it. They go on to the next bit.
I want to watch the show, but like you is the director of it.
I just think someone must have like been sitting around. They're like, all right, people, we're coming up on a deadline. I mean, come on, I need some fresh ideas. I am about willing to take anything. All right. I mean, almost anything. And someone just like comes up with this idea that you sit there and like, oh, well, no, that's terrible. That's just terrible. I know that like Airhead Girl, she's also kind of wealthy. There's one bit where she's standing in front of the door to the student council, and a guy comes up and says, "Hey, Airhead, what are you doing?" And she says, "Oh, I forgot. The doors here don't open automatically like they do at my house because I'm wealthy." And then that's it. That's the bit. It has nothing to do with anything, and just episode after episode of it. I watched several episodes and thought, oh, this is it. This is just how it goes the entire way. It was awful. It made me sad that I had given 1 out of 10s to so many other animes, because when I come to something like this, it no longer gives a gut-wrenching, like, oh, I better steer clear of this pile of crap. Oh, it was awful. But there was one saving grace, and it was that I accidentally watched the first episode of the second season because they named it Seitokai Yakuindomo and then a little asterisk. And apparently I was supposed to know that meant this is the second season. I did not. I am now going to describe to you the opening bit. It has nothing to do with anything, but they, I guess, sat there and thought, let's really go all out for this opening bit. Imagine we're up in the clouds. Slowly, we began to pan in on an airplane. We overhear the captain and co-pilot. Captain, we are going into the Valley of Clouds. Mind you, this is all in English.
Okay.
What a terrible Valley of the Wind. This may be more exciting than the cleavage of your wife. Captain, how do you know about my wife? Because I always steer it on the weekend. What? What? Oh. Now, the camera goes through the cabin and comes into the first class as we come up across a sexy attendant as she walks down the aisleway. Hey, attendant with the real tight hips. What shall I do for you, dear mister with the poor penis?
What?
Camera now moves to the coach upon another attendant who is pouring something. Is it okay with the milk which flowed from my breast? Great, my jumbo jet flies cheerfully. Oh. Camera now moves through the airplane, beginning to pan down upon Tokyo. It then comes to a busy crosswalk and finally zooms in on a dog, where a man in Japanese says, "Off to a dog start." End scene.
What?
And never come back to it, never mention it, just throw that out for no reason whatsoever.
And that's the show about the student council?
Yeah, and then they move in and start explaining the student council and go on with the rest of the episode. But the intro, yeah, it had nothing to do with anything. I truly, I got to and I was like, I don't know what I just watched. This is one of the maddest things I've ever seen. This is the ravings of a madman. So yeah, that was a thing. It was there. That's about it. It was there. So I'm going to give that a 1 out of 10.
A 1 out of 10.
Yeah. What'd you think of it?
How many episodes did you watch exactly?
I watched like 3. All right, because I kept saying, no, there's no way it's this bad. Because mind you, I pick my anime almost entirely at random, with the caveat: if I've already heard of it, I don't watch it, and it needs to be somewhat popular, and then that's it. That's like my 2 requirements: watch the first episode, and if it's good, or keep moving. But this one, it was just so bad I had to watch another episode because it couldn't be that bad. And then it turns out it was that bad. Yeah. Wow. It was awful. Yeah. So that was anime number 1.
That makes me want to watch it, though.
Yeah, I definitely want to watch it.
What are you talking about? It was terrible, and I told you how terrible it was.
I just want to see that opening scene about the jumbo jet or whatever.
All right, well, make sure to watch the one with little asterisks. Sometimes it's called bleep, and it's the second season.
That's another thing. The anime, they always just put like a little musical note or a little exclamation point to mean the second season.
The Roman numerals have been done. They gotta come up with something more creative.